Hi there folks, I'm Aaron Myers. I'm an S-scale model railroader and I recently got a 3D printer. So for all of you at home, I thought I'd make a video demonstrating on how you can use 3D printing technology to improve your layouts by both assembling accessories as well as railroad cars that you can use on your model railroad. Come on, let's go.
The starting point for 3D printing is to first acquire the model of what you wish to print. While many of us are not architects or 3D design CAD designers, that's not a problem these days. There are many sites on the internet, such as Thingiverse, where you can find free models, as well as other paid sites where you can buy a professionally designed model. Most of the models I usually use are HO scale 187 scale models, which are easily scaled up to S scale. For example, on the internet URL you see on your screen, I'm going to first go with this cement train car that I thought was pretty interesting from Thingiverse, which is model 2809632. One of the common misconceptions on 3D printing is you just get the model and you just print it on the printer. From this design, you can see for the cement car, there are actually 10 different files to print. Usually these have to be first downloaded separately and then laid out and prepared for printing. So each part must be printed separately and then will be assembled all together. In our next pre-printing phase, we utilize a computer software called a slicer. And a slicer does two things for us. First, as shown here, it lets us take individual model components and lay them out on the print plate, such that we can print groups of things together. In doing this, we also make use of scaling the model 136% so that we get to 1/64 scale. The second piece the software does, as shown here, is slice the image into individual layers. This ends up being similar to a movie where you have individual frames shown one after other to make motion. In this case, we have individual layers displayed one at a time in the print vat, so that we can go layer by layer building the model up till we have the finalized model. Once the layer model is sliced, we then save it onto a thumb drive so that we can then go down and print the file on our printer. With preparation complete, printing is an easy process. First, put the thumb drive into the printer and turn it on. On the LCD screen, we're able to scroll up and down through images of the files containing the different print images that we wish to print. Select the image we wish to print and press play. Once our print job is complete, with resin-based SLA 3D printing, there are various post-production job steps that need to be finalized. In our first part, we should remove the build plate with our assembled model from the printer. The resin will try to adhere to the model, so as we do this, try to get as much of the resin off the model into the print vat or another safe surface, keeping in mind that the liquid resin is toxic to skin and other body parts. Next, using a metal scraper and hammer, remove the model from the build plate as carefully as possible. Some part prints, such as this car chassis, will have supporting elements to allow the part to print properly. These spruces can be removed at this time. Now that our parts are clean and free from the build plate, we clean them using a proper size container of either ibuprofen alcohol or denatured alcohol. Rinsing in this solution for several minutes will help clear the excess liquid resin from the model so that we can complete the drying process and get it ready for clean assembly. Post-cleaning, make sure to let your model dry in a well-ventilated area so that it's thoroughly dry. In our final step, we use a UV light to finalize the curing process of the resin in our model. Now printing and post-processing are complete. We now have all of the parts necessary for our car. This includes 21 parts for the car, as well as 5 parts for each trail truck, for a total of 31 parts, shown on an assembly mat here. The first step in our assembly is to attach the car body onto the car frame. This can be done with any CA glue or adhesive. However, I find that I use Aleene's Original Mixed Media Adhesive. This adhesive has a tough, strong bond and yet has a lengthy cure time such that you can position the car parts and allow for proper alignment of the pieces. Next, on the underside of the frame, we attach the car bolsters to the frame, making sure to measure equally spacings on both sides of the car. In addition, ensure that the car trucks can rotate easily, avoiding the car stairs and also allowing for proper coupler clearance, so it should allow proper coupling to the next car in the track. Using a custom created jig and 26 gauge copper craft wire, we create hand grabs for the ends of the cars. The wire is wrapped around the jig and then cut off with the Dremel. Hand pliers are used then to finish off the process. After marking the location of the hand grabs, a special micro drill bit and hand tool are used to drill holes for the hand grabs. After drilling the holes, make sure to hand check each one of the grabs for proper fit. Next, glue all the hand grabs into the card frame. Now that our car body is assembled, we mask off the top of the car and apply a primer to the base frame. After allowing the primer to dry, we paint the frame with an acrylic paint. Going off the look of the prototype, we use a Model Colors dark basalt gray. We also paint the car body ladders at this time, as we use the same basalt gray color for those as well as the frame. Skipping ahead in our process, we remove the masking from the car body and mask off our frame after it's been dried. Then we prime the top of the car a flat white. Now shown here, we paint our main body of the car using a turquoise blue color. As I use a sponge brush to paint the main part of the body, we finish that up with the airbrush layer just to make sure it has a nice clear sheen. For the last step of our body painting process, we unmask the car frame. Check around to make sure all your edge lines are clean. At this time, we can finish up any touch-up work. With our car painting complete, it's now time to put our trucks on the car. Put them on one at a time, making sure they have a snug fit and yet can move loosely and comfortably. Now we prime/paint the 4 cement containers white. We next attach the cement containers onto the car body. We do this one at a time, as before, using Aline's original mixed media adhesive. Notice here the exit pipes have already been attached to the containers before we put them onto the car. This is to make sure that they have a proper angle. We next apply the car body decals. I want to do this next so that the body ladders and other components do not get in the way. In this way I have a clear surface area to work with. Before applying decals, I first use an acrylic gloss to prime each area. In doing this, I make it easier for the decal to apply to a nice clean surface. In this way I don't get any silvering underneath the decal as it dries. I'm going to use 4K decals for B&O Baltimore Railroad boxcars built for S scale. I've chosen a different couple combinations that fit on different sizes of cars, much similar to other prototypical cars on the lines. I first apply a micro set solution as well as get the decals nice and wet and warm, and then apply them to the car. It's time to complete our car assembly by putting on the remaining detail parts. The container walkways, as well as the ladders leading to them, the body ladders, and the flat splash plates on each side of the car can now be put on. As a final step, we create a custom decal for the Cemex logo. I did this using a Hayes Paper Company clear water slide decal paper for inkjet printers. These decals are applied one to each container on the far ends of the cars. And here at long last is our completed car, sitting proudly in the rail yard. And here it is proudly hooked up to the train, ready to ride the rails. Well folks, that completes our journey of 3D printing an S-Gauge car. Hope you enjoyed!